It was stupid, I know. But I was desperate to leave home. That was all I could think of.
Yoriko whispered, looking at the floor with a pained expression on her face. Although there was obviously more to the situation than met the eye, Yasuo stopped herself from prying any further. Yasuo lived in a house she'd inherited, along with the bar and the restaurant, from her husband. They had planned to have children, so the house had a couple of spare bedrooms. Yasuo decided to let Yoriko stay in one of them. If I do end up offering you a full-time job, we'll need to find you your own place. I've a friend who's a real estate agent. Yoriko teared up when Yasuo said this.
Thank you. I promise not to let you down,
she said, ducking her head repeatedly. And that was how Yoriko ended up working in Yasuo's bar, 7. Yasuo's hunch that Yoriko would be popular proved to be correct. The bar's customers all thought the world of her. When Yasuo dropped in to see how things were going during Yoriko's first week, the old bartender sidled over and whispered in her ear. That one's a keeper. Since Yoriko got here, the whole atmosphere of the place has changed. It's not like she's the most brilliant conversationalist or anything, but her just being here is enough to give the place a touch of glamour. There's something mysterious about her, something you can't quite put your finger on. She's in that sweet spot between formality and frankness. She's a big addition to the bar. Yasuo didn't need it spelled out. She could sense the change in the mood. She lost no time in offering Yoriko a full-time job. Yasuo was true to her word and the two women went apartment hunting together. They visited several places, and the one that Yoriko finally picked was an apartment in the northeast section of Sendai. Yoriko seemed to like that it was an old-fashioned, Japanese-style place with tatami mats on the floor. As there was no one else available, Yasuo became Yoriko's guarantor. Yoriko maintained a seriousness about her. The bar started to attract more regulars, and it was always very lively. Many of the patrons were there to see Yoriko, but she was never taken advantage of or dragged into any sort of messy situation. She must have learned how to manage that back at her previous bar job, Yasuo thought. Back then, Japan was enjoying an economic boom, and the bar was a consistent moneymaker. For her part, Yoriko started to feel at home in Sendai. Nonetheless, there was something that weighed on Yasuo's mind. The two women began spending time together, talking about all sorts of things. But Yasuo couldn't help feeling that Yoriko was never completely frank with her. This was not unusual. Yoriko never revealed her true self to anybody else either. Knowing that Yoriko's air of mystery was what made her attractive and was one of the reasons for the success of her bar, Yasuo felt conflicted. Yoriko showed no signs of wanting to go into the details of her divorce. When Yasuo suggested that maybe her husband had been playing around, Yoriko made it very clear that that was not the case.
It's all my fault, she said. I failed. As a wife and as a mother.
This was actually the first time Yoriko had revealed that she was a mother. She turned out to have a son. He was 12 years old when she walked out on her husband.
That must have been really awful. I bet you're desperate to see him.
Yoriko smiled wanly.
Of course I want to see him, but I don't deserve to. I just try not to think about him. Ultimately, there was no emotional bond there. Not with my husband, and not with my son.
Yasuo asked her if she had a photo of her son. Yoriko shook her head. She didn't have even one.
If I had a photo or anything like that,